Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. For this question, it's really important that we understand what the words sum and product mean. Now, sum just means add, and product just means times. So we're going to start by adding the 5 and the 4. So that will equal 9. And then what we're going to do is find the product of 9 and 7. So we're going to multiply them together. 9 times 7, which is 63. So our answer is 63. So we need to first of all understand what a cube number is. So a cube number is the answer to when you get 3 integers or whole numbers and we multiply them by themselves 3 times. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, 4 times 4 times 4 is 64, and 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So 1, 8, 27, 64, 125 are all cube numbers, and it goes on forever. And this question's asked us to find all the odd or an odd cube number that is smaller than 100. So it has to be odd, so that gets rid of the 8 and the 64, and it has to be smaller than 100, so that gets rid of the 125. So I can either write down 1 would be a fine answer, or 27. I'm going to go for 1. So we're told the sequence starts at 20, so our first term will be 20, and we're told that the rule is add 5, so we're going to add 5 to that, and that'll be 25 for our second term, add 5 again, and that'll be 30 for our third term. Something to realise in this table we're given in this question is that the triangle has 3 sides, quadrilateral 4, pentagon 5, and hexagon 6. And that number is just 2 less than the number of faces. So basically, if you've got the number of sides, you add 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6, 5 plus 2 is 7, and 6 plus 2 is 8. So if we've got 20 sides, and we just do the same thing, so we're just adding 2, then we should have 22 faces. So our answer is 22. So we're just going to start by writing the number a little bit bigger. So it says to 2 decimal places, so we're going to draw a line after the second decimal place. Now all the numbers to the right are going to disappear. They're going to turn to 0, and because it's a decimal, that just means we get rid of them. But we have to look at this number first. Now if this number is less than 5, we just keep the number to the left, so 8.17. But if it's 5 or more, then this 7 goes up to an 8. So this will be 8.18. Let's rewrite this expression, but with a time sign in, so v times w squared. Now w squared just means times by itself, so we can rewrite that as v times w times w. Okay, so we know v is minus 10, so minus 10. And we know w is minus 4, so it's times minus 4 times minus 4. Okay, so when you multiply, it doesn't matter which order we do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do these ones first, and I'm going to ignore that times minus 4 at the end. So minus 10 times minus 4, that's a minus times a minus, which is a positive, 10 times 4, which is 40, times minus 4. Now we're going to do 40 times minus 4, so it's a positive times a negative, so that's going to be a negative. And 40 times 4, well, 4 times 4 is 16, so 40 times 4 is 160. So it's going to be minus 160. For each of these options, try and construct in your head the triangles that would be made from these lengths. And I'm going to give an example for question D, or for option D. And I'm going to construct my triangle just with sticks. So we're going to start off with our first stick, which is 19 centimeters. Then we're going to do another stick, which is going to be 37 centimeters. And we've got one last stick, which is 61 centimeters. Now, looking at the first two sticks, the actual combined distance of them, so when we add them together, so be 19 centimeters plus 37 centimeters, is 56 centimeters. So that's the combined width of them. And you can see that that actually wouldn't be able to create a triangle if the third stick is 61 centimeters. So the side here could combine with this side. So we could move this whole stick here onto this side here, but we can't actually make a triangle with it because the two lengths that we've got won't ever reach the end bit here. They just won't ever reach that bit to be able to create the triangle. And I'm just going to put that back. So our answer is option D. So we start off by working out what 100% of 240 is. Well, that's obviously going to be 240. And a nice easy one to start off with is 10%. We're trying to get to 21%, so 10% is always a good one to start with. So we divide by 10, which would be 24. And because we try to get to 21%, we'll need to find out what 1% is. And 1%, we just divide the 10% by 10 again, so it would be 2.4. And then we need to find out what 20% is. And 20%, we just double the 10%, so it would be 48. And so 21% is this plus this, because 1 plus 20 is 21. So we add these together, so 2.4 plus 48. Probably don't need to do this formally. Probably do this in our heads. So 50.4, but it says to increase 240 by that amount. So we need to get 240, we need to add the 50.4. Probably, again, don't need to show the working out for this, we can do this in our heads, but it's a bit easier to see what we're doing. So the answer would be 290.4. So with a stem and leaf diagram, the numbers in the middle often represent tens. They could be units. So we look at the key first of all, and we see that 3 line 9 means 93. So the numbers in the middle are going to represent 10. So this is a 90. Now we're looking for English, so this will be 92. So our first number will be 92. Then this will be 10 tens and a 4. So it would be 104. 11 tens and 1, so 111, and then 11 tens and 2. So to find the median, we go cross out the biggest and smallest until we're left with 1 or 2 in the middle. Here we're left with 2. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add the 104 to the 111, and we're just going to divide that by 2. So when we do that, we get 107.5, or 0.5. So our answer is 107.5. So we're going to start off by filling out this table. So 0 times 1, 0 times 2, 0 times 3, 1 times those, 2 times those, and 3 times those. And we're looking for the probability that the product, which just means that when we times them together, will be more than 2. So which of these are more than 2? Let's circle all the ones that are more than 2. And to work out a probability, it's always the successful outcomes over the total amount. So the successful ones are the ones I've circled, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. the total are all of them together, where it's a 4x4 grid, so it'd be 16 in total. And so the probability that the product will be more than 2 will be 9 over 16. The modal class is just the group that has the mode. Okay, the modal group. Class just means group. Now all these guys here are groups, so any of these could be the answer. To find the modal class or the modal group, we just look to see which one has the most numbers in it. Well, the first group has 16 in it, the next group has 11, the next group 17, the next group 11, and the next group, or the last group, 13. Which of those is the most? Well, 17. So the group that has the most is this 30. Let's do that a bit nicer. 30, and then C, and then 35. That essentially means 30 to 35, but make sure you copy it down correctly from the table, so exactly as it shows it in the table. So you do need to know the parts of a circle. So the full distance around the circle is called the circumference. If you've got a little bit of it, it's an arc. If you've got a line across it, that would be a chord. And the part that's kind of trapped in there is called a segment. Then if you've got a line across the circle going through the center, that's a diameter. If you've got a line just going to the center, if I can draw it properly, then that's called a radius. If you've got a line that touches the circle just on one point, like that, that's a tangent. But in this case, we have a sector. So in this question, we basically need to add the 2 3/4 and the 2 2/5. So we're going to do 2 3/4 plus 2 2/5. Now, if I just rewrite this, 2 3/4 can be written as 2 plus 3/4 plus 2 plus 2 1/5, or 2/5. So we can add the two 2's together to make 4, and then all we need to do is add the 3/4 and the 2/5. So when you add two numbers with different denominators, what we need to do is get the common denominators. And we do that by just quickly writing out the 4 and the 5 times table and seeing what the first number in both their times tables is. 16, 20, and 5, 10, 15, 20. So that's 20. So we need to get the bottoms of the fractions to 20. Now for 3/4, to get the bottom to equal 20, we need to times the 4 by 5. And whatever you do to the bottom, you've got to do to the top, so times that by 5 as well, which will be 15. And for 2/5, we'll get that bottom to 20, so we times that by 4. And so we've got to times the top by 4 as well, to make it 8. So it's going to be 15 over 20 plus 8 over 20. So we need to add the numerators. So it'd be 15 plus 8, which is going to be 23 over 20. Now that is a top-heavy fraction, so we can rewrite that as 1 3/20. And we can add the 4 and the 1 together to make 5 3/20. So the answer is 5 3/20. To find the pressure, we need the area and the force. And we're given the force in the question, and so all we need to do is find out what the area is, which will be the 7 times the 9, which will be 63 centimeters squared. And the force is given to us in the question, so what we can do is write down the pressure formula, which says that pressure equals the force divided by the area. Force is given to us as 2268. The area we've calculated is 63. Divide the 2 and you get 36. So it's going to be 36 newtons per centimetre squared. So the symbol here basically means and the way I remember it is if you draw that symbol and just put a line through it, you can make the word and. So we're looking at the probability of getting something that is in A and C. So the only ones that are in A and C are this 8 and this 9 here. So we're going to just add the 8 and the 9 together, which give us 17. Now we need to then work out how many numbers there are in total, so that's all of them. So 4 plus 8 plus 9 plus 5 plus 8 plus 3 plus 11 plus 6. So we need the total, which is 54. And then we get the 17, and we put that over the amount in total, so over 54. So for this question, what we need to do is factorise 4t plus 6. Now factorise means put it into brackets. So if I try, what I can do is I can actually put a 1 on the outside here. So 1 times 4t plus 6 is 4t plus 6, but the question clearly states that it is higher than 1. So we need to find another number that's higher than 1 to factorise this with. So if we look at 4t and 6, well, they're both in the 2 times table. So I can put a 2 on the outside here. 2 times 2t is 4t, and 2 times 3 is 6. So what we can do is we can just check that out with smiles and rainbows. Put all my times down there to remind me to times it. So 2 times 2t is 4t, 2 times 3 is 6. So that works because that is the same as this in the question. So we know that 2 times 2t plus 3 works. In fact, it's the only one that works with it being an integer. So we therefore know that the known side, because it says it's a known number, is 2. And the other side will be 2t plus 3. And then when you multiply them together, you get the area of 4t plus 6. So our answer, because it says the length is the known number, so that's the length, then we're finding the width, which is this one here. So it's 2t plus 3. This looks like it's a really tricky question, and it is a little bit tricky, but it's a little bit easier than maybe it looks. The highest common factor is found when you have the prime factors, which we do, of two numbers, and you put them into a Venn diagram. Then you can find the prime factor, the highest common factor, by multiplying all the numbers in the overlap. So we're going to rewrite these numbers. Just instead of squared, we're just going to write them out without index form. Just makes it a bit easier. And so I'm just removing the squares. And we're going to draw ourselves a Venn diagram. So let's just do a rectangle at the outside. I'm going to try and do some nice circles here. Try my best anyway. Okay, so on the left hand side we have the 450, on the right hand side we have the 132. So we'll start with the 450 and the numbers. So actually looking at the numbers, looking at the factors at the top, the prime factors, we can see they both have a 2 in them. So I cross them both out and put 2 in the middle. We can see they both have a 3 in them. So cross those 3's out and put a 3 in the middle. And then 450 has a 3, a 5 and a 5. And 132 has the 2 and the 11. So to find the highest common factor, as I said, you multiply all the numbers that are in the middle. And so the highest common factor will be 6. To prove triangle congruence, you're going to have one of 4 answers. You're either going to have RHS, SSS, angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle, and the last one, side, angle, side. So those are our options. So we've got to figure out what we have in this question. Well, we have a right angle, so an angle or right angle. We've got a side, which is actually the hypotenuse, because we know the hypotenuse is opposite the right angle. And then we just have another side. Now, it's not going to be SSS because we don't have 3 sides. We do have a side and an angle and a side, but the 2 sides are not next to the angle, so it's not going to be that one. And we don't have 2 angles, so it's not going to be this one. So the last one is RHS, which is right angle, which we have, hypotenuse, which we have, and side. So I'm going to write out the equation again just to give us a bit more space. And the rule we have here is if we have an x on both sides, which we do in here, we pick the smallest one to get rid of. So we've got a 12x and a 7x. And so the smaller number, or the smaller x, would be the 7x. So we're going to get rid of that first. So we've got our lines in, and we're going to take away 7x both sides. And so 12x take away 7x is 5x. And the 7x is gone, so it's just equals to 46. Then we've got the minus 4 to get rid of, so we're going to add 4 both sides. And then we've got this times 5 here, so we're going to divide 5 both sides. So we've got x equals 50 divided by 5, which is 10. To find the gradient, we need to find 2 points we know on this graph. So I'm going to pick that coordinate and this coordinate here. And we know that we need to draw a right angled triangle between them. And we find the gradient by the change in y, which is 3, over the change in x. But notice the change in x is 1, so it's going to end up being 3 divided by 1, which is just 3. So a different definition of the gradient is for every 1 we go to the right, how far up we go, which is 3. When it's said that y is inversely proportional to x, it means that y changes as 1 over x changes. And to write this in an equation, all we do is we just write y equals k over x. Now k is something we need to find. So what we need to do is find out what a value of y and a value of x are somewhere on the graph that would be formed from this, and we've got that in this question. So we know that when y is 7, then x is going to be 7.9. And what I need to do now is just draw my lines down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just times both sides by 7.9. And so we have k equals, and it'd be 7 times 7.9, which is 55.3. So we know that k is 55.3. So I'm just going to rewrite this equation here, or this formula here. But instead of k, I know that it's going to be 55.3. So our answer is y equals 55.3 over x. So we're going to first of all look at the starting section. So we've got the probability of a blue being picked from bag 1 is 7 over 11. So the probability for blue and red must equal 1. So what do we add to 7 to get to 11? Well, we add 4, and so it would be 4 over 11. So these two here must add up to 11 over 11, which is 1. Looking at the next section, we've got 11 over 15 chance of picking a blue. So what's the probability of picking a red? Again, 11 over 15 plus the probability of a red must equal 1. So that's going to be 4 over 15. 4 over 15 plus 11 over 15 is 1. And we've got the final section down here. Now, this final section, we haven't got any fractions for, but bag 2 is independent to bag 1. So bag 2 is just sitting there ready to be picked after we pick bag 1. So the probability is going to be exactly the same as the ones at the top. So we're asked to find the vector 3a plus 2b. So we're going to start off by working out 3a. And so we just go times the top and bottom of a by 3. So that'd be 9 and 6. And to find 2b, we do exactly the same to the second one, but we go times it by 2. That'd be minus 2 and minus 4. And so to find 3a plus 2b, we're just going to add the tops together. So 9 plus minus 2. And add the bottoms together. So 6 plus minus 4. 9 plus minus 2 is 9 take away 2, which is 7. And 9 plus minus 4 is going to be 2. So the vector is going to be 7 and 2. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.